All right, apparently I had to be smarter than the microphone. No such luck starting out, but now we're good. My name's John Newman, host of Sports Car Nation podcast. Every gentleman on the stage has been a guest of that show, I'm happy to say. I'm going to have them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they do. I have a couple blaster boxes that I'm going to give away, hopefully to a couple young kids today. And we'll have some other stuff going on. So we'll start with Mr. Andy Friedman. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
All right. Well, is this on? You all can hear me? Yeah? Okay. I'm Andy Friedman from Brooklyn, New York. Topps artist. I have two 70-card sets with Topps, my paintings of old shoebox cards, I call them, called Spotlight 71 and 2.
Hi, is this on?
You got to talk right up there.
Hi, I'm Danny. Now it's on. I run Hobby News Daily, and I hope everybody will check out hobbynewsdaily.com.
I just want to add, I'm also from Brooklyn, New York. So Brooklyn's in the house, and you're outnumbered up here.
It always is.
Good.
Hey guys, my name is Dylan Davis, and I'm from Double D Vintage Baseball Cards, and I also do a podcast with my friend Adam right here, Splendid Sports, and it's called Turn Back the Clock, and I'm honored to be here. I collect vintage baseball cards, and I'm from Hawaii, Kauai, and just a pleasure to be here with everybody, and this is a whole new world for me, seeing all this, my first national, so really excited. Thanks for having me, John.
You're welcome, and I want to thank Rip and Wax and all the people that go GTS that put this on for having me. This is, I think, my fourth or fifth time doing this, and I still forget to turn the mic on, apparently. So, and last but not least, Adam.
Hey guys, my name's Adam from Splendid Sports. This is my first national, so very excited to be here. And thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
So one of the things, being I'm sort of a veteran at doing this, guys, is I like to have people.
Does that just mean you're old?
It does mean I'm old. I'm not. Listen, my birth certificate doesn't lie. I tried to white it out, but it's on yellow paper. But I love having someone that on stage at their first national. For you, Dylan and Adam, this is, like you just said, your first national. We'll start. We'll go, left to right here. Dylan, like your thoughts here. I'm sure you had to envision what you thought it might be like. I know we're only in the second day here, but your initial thoughts here as a first timer.
Good question, John. Thanks for asking that one. It's been an absolute eye-opener and such a blast. I'm like one of those guys who collected in obscurity for, I'm 42 years old and I've been collecting cards as long as I can remember. My first memory of collecting cards is like 5 years old. So for me, I've been buying cards online because, I live on an island, so collecting cards, going to card shows isn't really a thing. And so for me to see all these special cards in the flesh and to see all these fellow collectors like me, like-minded individuals, I literally got off the plane and got on a bus, and the first person that was on the bus, the only other guy, was a vintage collector from Toronto, and it was his first show. We were best friends in 5 minutes. So this is the funnest experience probably of my entire life. Don't tell my wife. But I have been like a kid waiting for Christmas morning, and every day has been like that so far, and for a month leading up to it. So yeah, man, I'm just in shock with everything. It's not as overwhelming as a lot of people thought. It's more of an excitement and just a joy and a pleasure. So yeah, that's what we got. Thanks, John.
Adam, same question to you. I mean, I'm sure I remember my first national. Everyone tells you what to expect. Here's what it's like, and then you walk in the building yourself, and what you hear. It doesn't always match up to the actual experience itself. So, your thoughts here on your first national?
It's definitely living up to my expectations and then some. And, I think somebody said the hobby is the people. I think I heard that somewhere.
I don't know the guy, but he sounds like a very smart guy.
Whoever said that is a very smart man. And that's, for me, that's been, so far, it's been about not even a day since I got in. And just seeing all my friends that I had never met in person, now meeting them in person is just incredible. So I look forward to doing more of that. And I've been on, having a podcast and YouTube for a couple years now. And I've met, not in person, but met virtually so many people that, man, they're even cooler and nicer in person. So this is surreal. Just looking out at you guys right here, this is incredible to me.
And in my case, uglier in person. I want to turn to probably the most talented guy on the dais here today, in the best city, right? Brooklyn. We got to represent Brooklyn. Andy, you've done great work with Tops. You've done great work not with Tops. This is your third national, you told me. Just your thoughts, even being your third national, what this event means to you and what you think about it.
Well, I mean, I think I end up spending more time talking with fellow collectors than I even do looking at tables, it seems. And that says a lot to me about the hobby, but also the national. It's like, it's like its own country, what can I say? Ideas are disseminated, conversations.
Do you get a lot of people come up to you or in your conversations telling you what they want to see you do or giving you some advice?
I'm inspired daily. Yeah, and that's never lost on me, because that's how I look at it. It's inspiring, every conversation. Yeah,
I know we talked on my show about, your Spotlight 70 and how you highlighted maybe some of those lesser names, if you will, but important just the same. For those that maybe didn't hear the episode, where did that come from? Is that something like you kind of set out to do?
Well, 3 of the cards in Spotlight 72, which is the set that came out last year, I drew when I was 12. I drew those cards before I even was watching the game, before I even knew who the players were. There was something about the color of the film, something about the expression on the faces that drew me to the characters in the cards. It's actually drawing baseball cards that got me into the game. So, years, all through my life, I had this little shoebox of sort of lesser-known players and would always draw from them. For 20 years, I drew caricatures in magazines of all the biggest celebrities. Likenesses is very important. It has to draw what the person looks like. Drawing, like lesser-known players took a certain pressure off me. When I was recovering from a hand injury, I kind of reconnected with the innocence of that youthful, anonymous way of drawing cards, and that's how it happened. Really, many of the cards in that first Spotlight 70 set were extensions from a body of work that I started when I injured my hand and had to kind of get back to who I am at the core. So that's really that story.
Stay true to yourself and working with Tops. How has that inspired you, your own personal collecting, getting sort of into cards? Has it shaped kind of what you do on that side?
Well, working with Tops, is incredible because it's the first entity I've ever worked with that gives me full creative freedom. So it's the absolute dream of any artist. Outside of that, finding collectors that appreciate this work enough to want to acquire it is what's been sort of keeping me afloat the last few years. I don't illustrate anymore. I don't do anything. I owe it all to the enthusiasm of the collectors, and that's the oldest arrangement in the books. the collectors and the artists, that exchange. So I feel very much like the fine artist that I always was and wanted to be. And for that to happen through Topps and this space is even more of a dream because, I've had a long, diverse career in the art, but I never wanted to just hang my stuff up in a gallery. Whenever I used to go to card shows as a kid, I used to think, why aren't art shows more like this? People are afraid of art because of the stuffiness of it and the sort of pretension of it. A space here, it's more homegrown. It's more down to earth, rough around the edges, more trustworthy. People look each other in the eye. I know that's a funny thing, but so this is the space where it's really fun to see this art movement happening within this space.
Yeah, and when you think about vintage cards, especially Andy, I mean, a lot of them were, art pieces in themselves, and to me, cards are all works of art in their own right with design. And you mentioned it, we've seen card art really explode back on the scene in the last few years. We got someone out there I want to recognize, Rodney, Card Killer, who does a lot of card art. Also from Brooklyn, by the way. We got to throw that in. But we've seen people do some great work and put their own spin on things. And one question then to you, and then I'll get somebody else involved too. Do you see the card art kind of continuing and maybe even getting bigger potentially?
1,000%. And a lot of the reason why, besides the great art that these artists are doing, I mean, when Topps came out with Project 2020 and followed it with Project 70, what they did by branding artists as the authors of this work, they created a phenomenon for the first time in history where people are actually collecting artists. And so, the idea that you want to catch someone's rookie card and you hope they have a really rich career so that the value of that card, corresponds with that rise. Now people are looking at artists and what they do. And I think I want to collect that artist or that artist, not only because I like the work, but because I believe in what they're doing. And I think the value could fluctuate. That brings a whole other level of art collectability to the world of art that even the art world doesn't necessarily follow. So it's really exciting. The artists, in a way, have become almost like what the athletes are. So people are no longer just collecting their favorite team, player, and brands. Do I think it's gonna? Yeah, and I think for that reason, that's why I have kids at every show coming up to my table and gifting me with their art cards that they make at home because they're aspiring young art card artists. So we all know that this hobby starts with the kids and continues with the kids, and that's what we want. And so to see kids aspiring, to have sets out by Topps is a first in history. There have been cards in the past with paintings on it, and outside of maybe Dick Perez with Diamond Kings, they're unknown. Even the 1953 Topps artists, unknown to, house artists. So it was never, that aspect was never celebrated. So it's creating a new playing space for young people in the hobby. So yes, I see it fully growing.
So we might see some future Andy Friedmans coming up. They're coming for you.
We're going to see future whatever their names are.
I got you. No doubt. Danny, I want you to, you started Hobby News. You can't draw a stick figure to save your life, but you did start Hobby News Daily this year, which is what it sounds like, right? It's a hobby news source. You've got an incredible writing team, and I'm also on it as well. And just talk a little bit, for those that may have not seen it or heard about it, talk about that.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to second everything that Andy just said about what art is doing in the hobby right now and the opportunities for artists coming up and to make a living in doing fine sports art at every level. My background comes from that, and I just want to second that so much. I started Hobby News Daily because I wanted a place where people could go every day and have this vibe in here, have this positive thing around the hobby with good articles, with good content, with interesting information, with historical evergreen pieces, with people covering daily topics. We do a podcast every morning that's put out. Adam Palmer, who hosts about half of them, is out in the crowd there. You'll hear him or Mike Jokum every morning. And then we do a weekly email. And the email has been a huge success. To give you an idea, anybody who does email list, we have a 70% open rate on our emails within 24 hours. So we have great content getting out there to people. I'm thrilled about that. We've got 20 writers right now, so it's original content from people all over the hobby, talking everything from vintage cards to modern cards to sports art to comics to Pokemon. I mean, the whole gamut of collectibles. Everything under this roof we hope to talk about and cover at hobbynewsdaily.com. So if you've never been there, you can go on your cell phone or your computer. It's hobbynewsdaily.com. And I just encourage you, we'll take feedback. If you want to see an article on something, we've got a writer who's probably an expert on it. I want to thank John for all his help in getting it off the ground. I think when I was teetering on whether I wanted to jump in with 2 feet, he might have just thrown me in the deep end, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just told you like Nike. I said, just do it.
Right, exactly.
So, and it's great, and it's different. You got, like you said, 17 writers. You got fresh content every day, and opinions, which nobody's wrong with, which is always fun. Let's go back to Dylan. Your first national, but you're here from Hawaii. That's a little bit of ways away. Talk about your trip in, and what you picked up so far.
Yeah, it was a long journey. I was on an hour sleep yesterday, and I was just running on adrenaline all night and all day. My pickups, I haven't gone crazy on the pickups yet, but what I really have just appreciated is that my friends that I've met on being on YouTube, anyone out there who is shy and nervous about creating their own content, but they love the hobby, they should just jump in. All I do is push play and push stop. And I have friends that I've made that are true friends, and they're out in the crowd right now, and they're listening at home, and it just means the world to me. And seeing everybody out there, it's just like really special. I have someone's videoing us, and my whole front row, this means so much to me. That's all I gotta say. I'm just in shock with everything. I get really emotional about things because this hobby has been with me by myself all these years, and then having this like an opportunity like this, it's just incredible. So anyone out there who is nervous and shy like me, you might not think I'm shy because I like to talk, but I was shy when I first came on, and to make connections, true, deep connections with friends, that's what this hobby's about, and that's what I love about it. It's not even about the cards as much anymore as it is about the friendship within it. So that's what I'm here for. And that's what I've enjoyed so far.
Danny's got a question for you, Dylan. I've coined Dylan the most enthusiastic guy in the hobby. And there's a lot of us. Don't get me wrong. That's no slight to anybody else, but that's just how enthusiastic he is. I don't know anyone that can match it. So we're all fighting for second place after that. But Danny's got a question.
I just want to know, since you got started, what's been the biggest surprise doing the YouTube channel? Has it been the reception? Has it been the ease? Has it been the relationships? Has it been the cards?
The fun in it. It's been how fun it is to make a video and go through the cards that I already own and enjoy them again and again and again. And then having responses from friends, and they leave comments, and then you make, like, it goes back to the connections that I've made with friends. And I can meet someone for the first time, and we're best friends in 10 minutes. Where I have friends, hope they're not all listening, but I've been friends with for my entire life, and we struggle to have a conversation unless we're drinking. And even my surfers, I'm a longtime surfer, surfed my entire life, I live and breathe surfing. I surf every single day. Me being out of the water is like a fish out of water right now. But I have connections with friends in this hobby that are just incredible. That's been my greatest thing. I just always go back to the connections and enjoying my collection more than ever because of it.
And Adam might be in the running for that second most enthusiastic guy in the hobby with the rest of us. But you do your own content, and then you do a show with Dylan called Turn Back the Clock, which is awesome. You do 3 and 3, which I'm begging to come on at some point. I don't beg to get on shows, but that one I will. But talk about sort of your journey with content creation and being your first national. Have you picked up anything you want to share?
Yeah, well, I had one pickup yesterday, which was a KDKA Clemente card from his personal collection. Shout out Theo Clemente Collector. I'm in the group now. Woo! I feel great about that pickup. But yeah, now you see why I love Dylan. I mean, the first video I ever saw of his, I knew right away that he was being just genuine himself and passionate. He loves cards, and yeah, it was strange yesterday meeting you for the first time in person.
Yeah, that was a pretty awesome moment.
I feel like we've really talked for hours and hours on the phone and over YouTube, and then meeting in person was pretty cool. But yeah, I zoomed back in the hobby early 2021, and I got to thank a couple podcasts. One being Sports Card Nation, Dr. Beckett's podcast, and Golden Age of Cardboard. I needed those because I needed to hear from people that had a lot of experience in the hobby that didn't, like me, leave the hobby for a while. I mean, I was buying cards, but I really wasn't connected to the hobby. So to listen to podcasts of legends really in the hobby, it brought me a lot. And to think, here I am at my first national and up here, I'm like, what am I doing up here? But I don't know. I guess that's all I have to say for now.
You promised you would give me $50. That's what you're doing up here.
Checks in the mail.
I'm kidding. There's probably a couple people like, what just happened? No, I'm kidding. But Andy, we've seen Fanatics acquire Topps. Any effect on what you do, with Topps, or will that relationship continue?
No, morale seems higher than ever, and I suppose so does the budget. Things are just moving forward. You know what I mean? As far as for what I do, I mean, as an artist, you're like a cockroach. You're always going to survive if you just keep doing what you're doing. Nobody can destroy an artist. That's why it's good to be one.
What do you got?
And I should add, being an artist is a decision. It's not like a divine right kind of thing. Anybody has the right to participate. All you need to do is just say that that's what you are and own yourself. It's scary. It's scary, but it's easy in a way too. Just be, and then let everyone see it. Simple as that. You want to learn techniques and all that kind of stuff, you could do that. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, and you epitomize that, and I appreciate you saying that. To maybe you never know who needs to hear that, and that's what it takes to push them forward.
That's right.
What do you got coming? I know you got something coming out that you wanna share.
Well, I've been really excited this past year. Not only doing a lot of painting and a lot of traveling. I've been making my original one-of-one paintings, whether those are paintings used by Topps to create the Spotlight 70 cards or my own little paintings of cards. Everything I paint is the same size as a card. Collectors have been collecting them for a few years, but never before have they been able to be slabbed. So the past year I've been talking with all the grading companies, and in the Mint Collective, CSG was the first to pull the trigger on slabbing non-pack pulled works of original art. The past year, that's what I've been doing. Beckett followed, and PSA. So all the grading companies pretty much now are able to.
Do you want me to yell at SGC for you? They're a sponsor of the show.
Maybe someday they'll decide to do it, but right now they're not authenticating signatures that are not certified and pulled from a pack, so I understand that. So, look, technically, PSA, Beckett, and I'm totally blanking out. CGC aren't really authenticating the art either. To make it clear, and I'm trying to get all these places to understand the difference. They're authenticating the signature, and they're saying, well, the collector will assume that the art, is also real. But in this space, do we really leave anything to assumption? So not really. So I think there's still improvements to be made. I think someone should come forward and say, oh, the signature is real, but so is the art. But in the meantime, we're authenticating one-of-one works, and they're finding their way into slabs, and that's something I've been working really hard on. What is happening here this weekend at the Pather Plastics booth are the world's first 2 oversized slabs. Those are officially authenticated by Beckett. They're 4 feet tall. I have a one-of-one painting of Wayne Gretzky rookie card. I have a one-of-one painting of a Dwight Gooden 85 record breaker, both in 4-foot slabs with enormous stickers authenticated by Beckett with serial numbers. This opens the door for collectors to not only slab other works of original one-of-one art, and by the way, I have a whole selection of stuff there if you want to see it, but people could authenticate oversized movie posters autographed, record albums, all kinds of stuff. It completely opens the door. So continuing to help build that infrastructure of collectability is something I've been working really hard with. So.
Yeah, no doubt. I did see the Gretzky. I haven't seen the good one, but the Gretzky's amazing as expected. And is that something you'll continue? We'll see new cards.
I mean, like I said, 3 of the cards in Spotlight 72 I painted when I was 12. I never stopped painting cards, even no matter what else I was doing as an artist. It was always on the side. I mean, I'm of the belief that, especially if you're an artist, whatever you're doing on the side and whatever you don't want to show anyone is what you should put to the forefront. So I'm really happy that this is where it's gone, but I won't stop doing that. And but now that we're slabbing all different sizes, it's just going to keep having my fun. Absolutely.
Yeah, when we were younger, Andy, the slabs didn't exist.
No.
Right? We were like, what is this?
No, they didn't.
And now it's an everyday vernacular.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, and to authenticate something, I mean, it makes sense, and they look cool. Look, it's a kind of frame in a kind of way. At one point in art history, somebody came up with a frame, and the first time that happened, someone would be like, what do you need to put a frame? Well, because it looks great, and it preserves it, and it makes it an official. So I think this is a really cool way to frame a piece of work. And the fact that they all are mostly painted the same size as a card, we all know there's that OCD side of collecting. We all like everything to be the same size and the same. So that's part of what drove me to want to paint my cards the same size as a card, so they could fit seamlessly right in a collection.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to give a blaster box of Bowman away to a young man. He's sitting in the front row. He's in the teal Under Armour shirt. He's not sleeping. He's not sleeping, so you're going to win this box.
Yeah, Tyrus.
Congratulations. I don't know if that's your friend or your brother. If you want to share that, that's up to you.
I want to ask Andy a question. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
No, please.
I was just curious, as card collectors, we come to the National, and a lot of us have a list of stuff that we want to get to. Do you have a list of projects that you want to get to, that you're just physically, the time to create the art, you have to go in an order?
A list of projects that I want to do?
There's certain things that you know that you want to get to.
Yeah, I always know I want to get to something, and when I don't know what it is I need to get to, I know what I need to get to, which is something. So I'm always, feeling my way through, and honestly, art is about telling a story about how you feel in the moment. So, the best thing for insomnia is to sleep it off, and the best thing for a creative block is to produce.
All right, I'm gonna ask Dylan and Adam. They're obviously vintage guys like myself. I have a list of 6 to 8 cards on the list. I'm hoping to get 1 or 2 of them. Without, I don't know if you mind letting the cat out of the bag. You got what are a couple of your targets you're hoping to go back home with?
Yeah, I'm looking for the 1941 play ball, Teddy ball game, and Joe DiMaggio cards because it's an incredible season, and just everything about that set to me is vintage, and the artwork on it is just stunning. I'd love to find those in a lower grade, good eye appeal. And then I'm also looking for any Duke Kahanamoku cards I can get my hands on, since I'm a surfer and he's the legend of surfing and a great humanitarian and an Olympic swimmer. So haven't found one, but I have one coming. So anyone out there that sees one, let me know. That's what I'm going for.
I would love a 1959 Bazooka Mickey Mantle, authentic. So if anyone has one, please let me know. I'd love to get one of those. And another one would be 51 Burke Ross Joe DiMaggio. So if anyone has one, please come see me and I'll come see you.
Danny and myself do a show every other Friday, much like Dylan and Adam do, called Card Menches. And it's really unscripted, and who knows what we're going to talk about. We have a lot of fun, right? That's what it's about. It's, like Dylan said, to do that with someone that you get along with so well, it's a pleasure. I know it's another show. You're probably like, how many shows do you need? I only really do 3 technically. So, but I just want to say it's been a lot of fun, and to someone, like Andy said, get off kind of the ledge. If you want to do something, go do that. Right? That's some of the best advice you can give someone. Even when Danny, like he's mentioned with Hobby News Daily, he sort of was on that fence. It didn't look like he was going to do it. And I'm like, no, the hobby needs something different, and I'll help you as much as I can. And here it is. It's in existence, right? So to anyone out there, whether you're live now or you're listening to this later on audio, right? Whatever it is you want to do, you can paint, you can draw, you can share your experiences. Do that stuff. You can leave a legacy and that sort of thing. But we got a little time left. Danny, you want to?
Well, I wanted to talk about some of the cards that we were looking to get.
Oh, yeah, I didn't ask you what you were trying, so I can steal them from you.
Yeah, we want to talk about the Koufax rookie. I can't hear myself.
Yeah, you talk right on the mic.
Oh, it must have turned off.
Can you hear me now?
Wait, I'm going to fill in the blank here because, I'm also a collector, so it's nice to talk about projects when I walk around, but people don't know I'm also a collector. And what I collect are the most iconic cards I could find in the absolute worst condition possible. I love the stories that lightning bolts of creases tell in a card. I got an Eddie Matthews rookie for $15. I paid $250 for a 1956 Mickey Mantle that PSA wouldn't slab, and neither would SGC because they were afraid it would fall apart. That's what I like, because those are one of ones. Those go in bike spokes in the 50s. Those are flipped against walls. Yeah. Those are, they're like veterans of the childhood wars that we fought, and they shouldn't just be sitting on the side of the road. They should be the ones in slabs. What has a Gem Mint 10 ever accomplished in their life?
I love it. Well said.
Well, I am working on the 57 set, so I am looking for the Brooks Robinson, which is, there's a bunch of those on the floor, but the card I'm really looking for is the 33 Gaudy Moberg. If I can find the right one there, that's a card I've been buying and selling for decades, and I'm finally ready to hold on to one. So if I find the right one, go home to Baltimore with me.
The 6 home run hitting Moberg, but the story, for those, I'm not going to tell the Moberg story. We don't have enough time, but Google, look up, research Moberg. He's a tremendous part of American history and history in general, and so much more than a Major League Baseball player. And so I know they made a movie about him, and it's just a great story of history. And he's got one card, right? That's his only card.
Well, that's his main card is rookie 33. I mean, he's got to play ball, but it gets back to the stories, and it gets back to the passion and the love you have for people. So when I have a card that there's a story behind it, I have a connection to the player. It's rare, but it's findable. It's kind of that in-between area, which means you're just paying more than you want to. It's a great card. The story behind it. So if you've never checked out the 33 Gowdy Moberg, you're walking the tables, you'll find it at a good vintage table. They should have a couple. They're going to be low grade because nobody kept them in 1933 because nobody knew that Moberg was working as a spy for the U.S. against the Japanese. So it's a crazy story, and it didn't come out till years later. So they're hard to find, but it's worth it.
There's also other layers to that story that are, whether they're true or not, it's not official, but it's interesting. Go check it out. But great point, too, by Andy, that all conditions of cards are cards, right? And, we're not all, rich and actors and can buy 9.5 Mickey Mantle 52 tops, and I sure don't. And, I'm looking for a Seaver rookie somewhere in probably a mid-tier grade if possible at best. And, for you guys as vintage guys, how do you fall in with raw and graded and that sort of thing?
Well, John, first I want to add to Andy's point of the stories of cards. Being at a show and buying a card in the flesh with your friends next to you just adds a story to that card, and I really am enjoying that part of this as well. And John, I forgot your other question.
Well, I was just gonna say when you acquire cards,
yes, raw card versus
it was where do they sell the beer?
Ungraded versus graded. I'm a graded collector. I have a side collection that I consider a separate collection of ungraded cards. I just like the fact that since, that grading started, it was the great equalizer for us people who collected at home and us young guys. I was young when graded started, that the dealers really wouldn't talk to me and I wouldn't talk to them. So it made it fair for me. I could buy a card and knowing it's authentic and it's real. That's the main reason. And they look cool. So as far as the collectors go, it makes no difference. It's just a preference basis. That's as simple as I would put it.
Adam?
Yeah, I think, I'm seeing a lot of raw vintage here, which is great. A lot of opportunity there. Since I've primarily been an online buyer, I've really bought mostly graded cards, but being here, I'm inclined to definitely buy some raw cards. And actually, John, I just thought of something I wanted to mention. It was pretty cool. The Uber driver on the way here, my Uber driver, we were talking, and I think I brought another person back into the hobby. I told him where I was going, and he had no clue about any of this stuff. But he said he still has his cards at his mom's house. So he's going to his mom's house later.
Give him my number.
He's going to get his cards. Yeah. So it's stuff, I think it's important to talk about the hobby to not just each other, but to people that aren't in the hobby, or maybe they were in the hobby, to bring them back, because the more the merrier. I already added one today, so who else is going to add some people today if you can?
Yeah, no doubt. And good job bringing another guy in.
At least he said that.
Next year's national just grew by one.
Yeah.
I wanted to turn the tables a little bit on John. John is up here asking all the questions. He's had, I don't know how many hundreds of guests now on his show. But the question is, what got you started? How did you get started? What was your inspiration? And how did you end up here?
All right, I'll answer your first question. I've had over 200 different people on Sports Card Nation. I'm very proud of that. I'm not going to lie. from a 7-year-old young collector to a CEO, right? The hobby is the people. I don't care what your title is. I don't care how old you are or aren't. So over 200 people. I got my start. I probably told this story. Some people have heard this, right? We've heard this story, but 7 years old in Brooklyn. I was raised by my grandparents, and we went to the corner store, and I was a sports kid. And I think I had like Jaws cards at the time. Was my first reel, but I didn't really, until we got up to that counter, and I saw that box of 1979 Topps. And I said to my grandfather, are those baseball cards like my Jaws cards? And he said, yeah, would you like a few packs? And of course I said, yes. And the first pack I opened, the fourth card in, was Reggie Jackson. Now I was a Thurman Munson guy at the time, but Reggie and Andy could attest to this. Reggie was the toast of New York, Mr. October. So every kid, that was the guy too. And I got that Reggie, and the rest was history. And as I always say, my friends collected cards. They wanted the gum. So I traded them my gum and got their more cards. And they got cavities from the gum. And then I just drank Pepsi and Coke and got cavities that way, but had the biggest stack of cards. So that's really how it started, 1979. If you do the math, you know how old I am, which is old, and the rest is history. And I had a few years where I kind of just hit pause, but I never really left the hobby, and it's just in a different stratosphere.
How about starting the podcast?
Oh man, that's a longer story. I'll make it short. Shorter. Yeah, I was a guest on a sports show on Fridays. A friend of mine named Dan Tortora, used to work for ESPN Radio. He collected cards. He's like, hey John, you have Fridays off from your job. Why don't you come on my show, bring some cards, and we'll connect like sports and the hobby. And it was supposed to be one show. And so we did this one show. It was audio and video. And all that morning and afternoon, his listenership was calling and messaging him, is this going to be like an every Friday segment? So he called me up, like, you have Fridays off. And I'm like, I do for now. That might change, but right now. And he's like, can you do this every Friday? And we did it. We called it Friday Morning Live. And then my job hours changed. They're like, we need you here on Friday. So that was the end of that. But doing that show, Danny, I had thought about doing a podcast. My son said, we listened to Eric Norton from Beckett doing Fat Packs and trips to Brooklyn, no less. We binge listened to that. And my son said, Dad, with all your experience at hobby, you could do this. And I'm like, Eric does such a great job. I'm not going to but doing that show, and then it stopped, that was what made me say, hey, I can do this. Much like Andy said, it was sort of the inspiration to hey, go for it. And I launched Sports Car Nation in November of 2018. If you listen to those early episodes, please know the audio equipment was not what we have today. I was definitely, I don't know how polished I am now, but I was definitely unpolished then. But, you do 240 episodes, you learn a few things along the way. Hopefully you get better. I think I have. I'm still learning and improving, but I guess the rest is history. I hope I made that short enough.
I think that's the shortest story you've ever told.
John, question for you. I remember this story on your podcast. Was it Jason Varitek you hit a home run against, or did he hit a home run against you in Little League?
So, true story. I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I lived there for a couple years, playing Little League baseball. I was quite a ball player in my younger years, and we were one win away from going to Williamsport in the Little League World Series. And we didn't know, this is before you watch film and you get scouting reports. This is 1984, 85. And I'm looking across at the other team. I'm pitching. I get the start. My coach said, "You're going. You ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." And I'm sizing up the other team, and they're all like smaller size kids, except for this one kid that was a little bigger. And that's why you never judge a book by a cover. I think I was like 8-0 on the hill that year, and I looked and I'm like, "Oh, I think we got this." Little overconfident, I'm not gonna lie. Well, the bigger kid, was a young man named Jason Varitek. Many know him now as a World Series winner with the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
And I will say this: Jason Varitek took me yard. I didn't give up many home runs, but that was one of them I gave up. And I will just say this: as soon as he hit it, it was one of those no-doubters. I didn't watch it. I just put my glove up to get the next ball, the pitch again. I think I lasted like 4 innings. I think the final score was like 14-3, 14-4. And it taught me at a younger age, though, the lesson there too, guys. Besides being disappointed that we weren't going to Williamsport.
Don't play against Jason Varitek?
Well, is to never judge, right? You never size anyone up and just write somebody off. I guess there was my 15 minutes giving up a home run to 14-year-old Jason Varitek.
John, at least he didn't smack you in the face like he did to A-Rod.
He probably wanted to if he would have heard what I was thinking. It was a fun story. I got to hit another quick story. I got to hit against John Franco, St. John's alum, playing pickup ball in Brooklyn. He kind of pulled over. He had his college catcher with him and said, "Hey, you want me to throw you some batting practice?" We all realized who he was, and we got to do that. So I got some real quirky stories like that.
I didn't mean to open up a wound there. I actually thought you hit the home run, so sorry about that one.
Yeah. No, I think I'm over it now. I went to therapy and talked through it and whatnot. I'm going to give another young man a box of 2023 Topps Series 1. You know what? He's here too, and let's be fair, in the Cleveland hat. Congratulations. You did not fall asleep.
John, can I give away a couple slabs?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, Theo, you're too old. I'd like to give a couple slabs here. I got a Wander Franco PSA 10 and a Peyton Manning 2000 medal. I'd like to give them to Dave, Legends of the Dugout, his son. because Dave and his son helped me find my Clemente card yesterday. So
there you go. How about that?
Awesome.
So, Andy, you got some stuff here on the side of the stage, some promo stuff, some of your work. If you want to talk a little bit about that, we're going to take a group photo as well, but people can kind of come over there and meet you, right? Is that right?
Sure. I got slab one-of-ones, paintings used by Topps to create cards. I have PSA certified one-of-one paintings. I just have a selection of stuff there to illustrate some of what I was talking about. If anyone's interested in, handling any of it or looking at it, I also have 250 of these promo cards. If anyone wants to know what I'm doing the next few days, there's a QR code on the back that shows everything I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of live drawing events. I'll be drawing Brian Ehrlicher live on Friday in the VIP Ludex room. Frank Thomas drawing somewhere. Tim McHenry from Slab Strong, I'll be drawing him at 2 o'clock today. 4 o'clock, Luke the Cardist.
Can you make him look better?
It depends how much he pays me. 4 o'clock, Luke the Cardist and I collaborated on a card. We made a numbered to 100 edition. We're going to be signing those at Cards and Coffee and at 4 o'clock and on Friday at Dave and Adams. But if anyone wants one of these cards, it's rated Wookiee, Chewbacca, 86 downloads.
There's got to be some Star Wars fans.
Yeah,
in the
rated
house. There
Wookiee.
definitely got to be. So.
Those are free. No, that's it.
All right.
For me.
Yeah, if you want, we'll come over to the side. We'll hand them out that way too, as well. I want to thank all the powers that be for allowing Sports Card Nation to come up and do this. I want to thank the panel today for agreeing to come up here and giving of their time. And this is fun, right? And like the tagline of the show, right? The hobby is the people. All you got to do is take a quick look around the show. I think it epitomizes that. And, have fun, right? That's what the hobby is about and for, and continue to do that. And I want to, again, thank everyone. If you're listening to this after the fact, thank you as well.
And thank you, John, for helping us, educating and edifying us along the way.
Thank you for having all of us up here.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, John.